In Brazil's capital, people celebrate on the eve of Lula da Silva's inauguration. At least 9 heads of state and 65 foreign delegations will attend the ceremony. The United States amends the rules of the price cap on Russian energy in order to facilitate its use by third parties. And more Asian countries join the celebration for the arrival of the year 2023. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Brazil's capital celebrates the day before Lula da Silva's inauguration as president of the nation. Citizens from different parts of the country gather in the capital to witness the inauguration of President-elect Lula da Silva. Authorities also confirmed that at least 9 heads of state and 65 foreign delegations will be present at the ceremony. Meanwhile, local media report that President Jair Bolsonaro will not be present during the inauguration of presidential candidate Lula da Silva due to a trip to Miami. In Bolivia, supporters of Luis Fernando Camacho attacked 10 public facilities and 1 private home during the strike called by the Civic Committee of Santa Cruz and the Crucenista Youth Union. The public prosecutor's office opened 7 proceedings to investigate the facts. Radical groups related to Luis Fernando Camacho assaulted public institutions, causing damage or setting them on fire. The aggressors set fire with Molotov cocktail to part of the structure of the Forest and Land Authority headquarters, attacked the National Tax Office, and destroyed the facade of the television station ABI Ayala TV. A similar situation occurred the day before when they set fire to or destroyed 6 other institutions, among them the Public Prosecutor's Office, the Courthouse, the Civic Register Service, and the Police Command. Meanwhile, the 24-hour strike in Santa Cruz ended with destruction and burning of cars in the capital of Santa Cruz. Bolivian state television broadcast images where groups of demonstrators can be seen charging at vehicles and throwing fireworks inside them. In the meantime, according to the Bolivian Information Agency, at least 20 people were arrested for the destruction caused and the burning of at least 3 vehicles, one of which belonged to a media outlet. In Mexico, at least 15 people died and 37 were injured in a bus accident in the state of Jalisco. The Nayarit State Security Secretariat explained in a press release that among the deceased were 3 children. They also indicated that the victims were tourists from the state of Guanajuato who were returning to Leon City after vacations. They explained that the vehicles lost control for unknown causes, which caused it to fall down a hillside where forensic experts and members of prosecutor's office have moved to proceed with the removal of bodies. This Saturday night, being December 31st, people around the world celebrate New Year's Eve. There are some universal traditions, but some countries have their own. In Ecuador, for instance, they burn the old year by setting ablaze a puppet made of paper and rags embodying either bad stuff that's happened through the year, which they wish to leave behind, or things they enjoy but are now a thing of the past. Therefore, the most popular puppet being sold these days in Ecuador are the ones representing President Guillermo Lasso, whom polls show has less than 20% approval, and people blame him for the present situation of increasing inequality, unemployment, poverty, and insecurity. The next most popular design is that of Argentina's football player Messi for having won the 2022 World Cup. But there are a lot of other puppet designs, including popular cartoon characters. Other traditions in Ecuador include eating 12 grapes at midnight, wearing yellow clothes, and going around the block with suitcases, hoping for future travels. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez reiterated on Saturday ahead of the arrival of the new year 2023 that the strength of the historical legacy of the revolution is the key element to face the current challenges in the Caribbean island.
Together one of the most challenging years in the history of the Cuban Revolution. As we enter the year 2023, we feel deep inside the strength of the historical legacy that drives us towards the new year, without fears or doubts, but always aware that it could be even more difficult.
Likewise, the Cuban president invited the revolutionary people to work with passion towards making progress in the fight against the United States blockade as a goal for 2023.
On the eve of this more challenging year, and therefore more attractive for all those who feel themselves revolutionaries, I invite you to work with passion and desire to continue overcoming the impossible. Let us move forward over the blockade until its creators find it impossible to hinder our progress. We are all invited. Let us together make a better country to make our dreams come true here, where we learn to dream.
Let us take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at the account at teleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. All the stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back from the South. The United States Treasury announced that seaborne deliveries of Russian petroleum products that are substantially transformed outside Russia will not be subject to a price cap. The Treasury Department issued the measure in a preliminary guidance ahead of the cap on Russian oil products that is set to come into force on February 5th. According to the document, in order to be exempt from the price limit, the Russian oil products must undergo one of a number of processes abroad. These include distillation, thermal or fluid cooking, catalytic cracking, hydrothreading, dewaxing, as well as other refinery processes involving chemical transformation, separation, conversion, or treatment. Barbara Walters, the pioneering TV journalist whose interviewing skills made her one of the most prominent figures in broadcasting in the United States, has died at the age of 93. Walters spokesperson Cindy Berger announced the news in a statement to CNN. Barbara Walters began her national broadcast career in 1961 as a reporter, writer, and panel member from NBC's Today Show, before being promoted to co-host in 1974. In 1976, she joined ABC News as the first female anchor on an evening news program. At that network, Walters launched the Barbara Walters Specials and 10 Most Fascinating People before becoming a co-host and correspondent for ABC News Show 2020 in 1984. Along the way, she interviewed every U.S. president and first lady since Richard and Pat Nixon. The Vatican Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI passed away this Saturday at the age of 95. The news was released by the director of the Holy See Press Office, Matteo Bruni, who explained that his death was caused by a progressive deterioration of his health, which, in addition to his respiratory system, also affected other internal organs, including his heart. Bruni informed that the funeral of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI will be held in St. Peter's Square at 9:30 a.m. local time on Thursday, January 5th, and the service will be conducted by Pope Francis.
Official source of the Vatican informed that Joseph Ratzinger's medical condition worsened with an illness that affected part of his face and his advanced age that made him be under constant surveillance at the Gemelli Hospital in Rome. Benedict XVI was born on April 16, 1927 in Martel, Bavaria, Germany, into a farming family with deep Catholic convictions. He began his career in 1957 as a professor of dogmatic theology, and during this period he made notable contributions to the Vatican Council. His intense religious activity led him to hold important positions in the service of the German Bishops' Conference and the International Theological Commission. In 1977, he was appointed cardinal by Pope Paul VI, and by 1982, he was head of the Commission for the Preparation of the Catechisms. In 2002, Pope John Paul II appointed him Dean of the College of Cardinals. After the death of John Paul II, a conclave elected him as Supreme Pontiff in April 2005, taking the name Benedict XVI in honor of Saint Benedict. After his papacy of almost 8 years marked by several scandals, on February 11, 2013, Joseph Sr. announced his resignation under the allegation of lack of strength, to later acquire the title of Pope Emeritus. As Pontiff Emeritus, Benedict XVI kept a low public profile with very few appearances, most notable the historic first meeting he had with his successor Francisco in late March 2013.
Speaking during New Year's Eve vigil, Pope Francis praised Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI and thanked his predecessor for his testimony of faith and prayer, especially in the final years of retired life.
Speaking of kindness, my thoughts go spontaneously to our dearest Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, who left us this morning. With emotion we remember his person, so noble, so kind, and we feel such gratitude in our hearts, gratitude to God for having given him to the Church and to the world, gratitude to him for all the good he did, and especially for his testimony of faith and prayer, especially in these final years of retired life.
Tributes to late Pope Benedict XVI continue rolling in from figures around the world. In this case, Russian President Vladimir Putin described the former Pope as a prominent religious figure and statesman and a defender of traditional Christian values. In the meantime, the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, Patriarch Kirill, said that he had the opportunity to testify to Benedict XVI's deep love for Eastern Christianity and in particular sincere respect for the tradition of Russian Orthodoxy. In the United Kingdom, the inflation rate has changed around 10% in recent months, while the energy crisis shows no signs of ending in the context of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The cost of basic items in local supermarkets continues to increase as energy bills dramatically rise, adding further pressure to many families facing winter in the middle of a severe energy crisis. Shopkeepers report difficulties at their business, stating that as they have not received any financing, they have been forced to increase their sales prices. According to traders, this situation has led to a sudden decrease in their sales.
This has been struggling. It's been really hard. We should have been peak season by now, but we've seen a sudden decline. I'm talking about a sudden decline in sales. People are not shopping.
The Eurozone out of the 27 that make up the European Union, formally bidding farewell to its national currency, the kuna. Croatia will also become the 27th country within the white zone of free circulation for the 400 million inhabitants that share borders within the Schengen area. The Croatian government said that the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, will arrive Sunday in Croatia to take part in the celebration of these two historic milestones. The Schengen Treaty establishes a common area through which any citizens of member countries of the agreement or anyone who enters according to foreign policy of these countries can freely move. Currently, Schengen space is made up of 27 states, including 4 that are not members of the European Union: Iceland, Norway, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein, plus 3 microstates, Monaco, San Marino, and Vatican City, which maintain open or partially open borders with member countries of the treaty. However, there are 4 remaining EU member states, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, and Romania, which are required to eventually join the Schengen area. Before fully implementing the Schengen rules, each state should have assessed its readiness in 4 areas: air borders, visas, police cooperation, and personal data protection. More news coming up after a final short break, so don't go away. Welcome back from the south. Several countries around the world are preparing for the new year 2023, while nations in Oceania and East Asia are already celebrating the arrival of the new year. After almost 3 years of restrictions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, countries such as Australia, New Zealand, Japan, China, and Thailand are celebrating the arrival of 2023 with massive fireworks shows and social festivities. Meanwhile, countries in the Americas, Europe, Africa, and West Asia are still waiting to welcome the new year, while in some of these countries, the arrival of 2023 is only hours away. Others are just getting ready for the celebrations. On Saturday, China's President Xi Jinping called on the Chinese people to remain united and to work as one heart with a firm will to make tomorrow's China a better place to live in. President Xi made the call while delivering a speech to convey his best wishes to the Chinese people on New Year's Eve. He said as long as the 1.4 billion Chinese people work as one heart, one mind, and remain united, no task will be impossible and no difficulty unsurmountable. Xi said the people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait are members of the same family, and he hoped that they would work together to promote the nation's lasting prosperity. Chinese President Xi Jinping and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin exchanged messages of New Year's greetings on Saturday. On behalf of the Chinese government and people, President Xi extended sincere congratulations and best wishes to his Russian counterpart and his people. The Chinese head of state said that the year of 2022 has been an extraordinary one, and that facing the rapidly evolving international situation and the continuous spread of the global pandemic, China-Russia relations have always maintained a healthy development momentum. Meanwhile, President Putin said that in the past year, the Russia-China Comprehensive Strategic Cooperative Partnership has kept strengthening and withstood the test of external challenges. This Saturday, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa addressed the nation with a message of reckoning for 2022 and for hope for the coming year. The South African president urged his people to get into the next year with the courage and resilience that characterizes South Africans. He said, "Let's keep going, trying, no matter how difficult the challenges ahead." The president added that they will all work together. They will rebuild the country, for they can and will improve the nation's economy and the lives of every South African citizen. The president said that the fight against poverty, inequality and unemployment, as well as the fight against crime and gender-based violence, must be intensified because it is what South Africa wants and deserves. The president also called attention on the fact that the South African economy has surpassed pre-pandemic growth levels and that over this 2022, 1.5 million new jobs were created. Lebanon's army rescued about 200 migrants from the shipwreck of a boat in front of Selat Beach in Beirut region. On its Twitter account, the Lebanese Navy confirmed on the scene the presence of 3 naval teams accompanied by a boat of the United Nations force. The damaged ship sank in Lebanese territorial waters with the purpose of reaching the separate coast with at least 200 people on board. According to studies conducted by analysts, Lebanon is facing a significant increase in immigration rates as a consequence of the economic and financial collapse that is pushing 4 out of 5 of its citizens into poverty. Tension rises on the Korean peninsula. The South Korean Joint Chief of Staff reported that North Korea fired 3 short-range ballistic missiles into the Sea of Japan on Saturday. The launch was made from Cheongwa County in the northern Hwanghae province. The Japanese Ministry of Defense also reported the launching of 3 missiles from North Korean territory, detailing that the flight distance was 350 kilometers with a maximum altitude of 100 kilometers. This is the 37th missile launch by Pyongyang so far this year. North Korean authorities affirm that these exercises are aimed at increasing defensive capabilities due to threats mainly from the United States and South Korea. In Chile, the National Office of Emergency of the Interior Ministry reported 16 active wildfires at the end of the year. The director of the National Office for Emergency said that one of the reasons why it is difficult to battle the fires is because of the topography of their different areas and the wind direction, which reaches 40 kilometers per hour. The affected municipalities have approximately 300 houses damaged, 20 destroyed by the fire, and one school burned to the ground. Meanwhile, the National Office of Emergency ordered an immediate evacuation in several districts because of the flames. So far, emergency services have extinguished 2 fires and controlled 76. These services have 24 ground brigades, 4 helicopters, a Lockheed Hercules transport aircraft, and 12 rescue planes. We have come to the end of this news briefing. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.